Hey guys, if you're curious about what's going on in the Stockton housing market, you're going to want to keep watching this video. My name is David, this is Richard. We're brokers right here in Stockton, and we're going to cover everything that's going on in the housing market for this month. This is September 2022. Let's get right into the housing data. Richard, what do you got first?
Well, I got a mixed bag here. As you can see on the chart, listings, the one that sticks way up there, are way up. It seems like that's high, but David's going to show us that's not so high in a little while. Good thing is sales, maybe that hit bottom last month, are starting to come back up, and pendings are coming up. So a lot of good news for buyers, and I think the sellers are still going to be okay.
Okay.
What are you going to show us on a comparison?
Well, if the biggest thing that jumps out of the chart here is the amount of homes that are active on the market is 483. Yeah. The inventory that we have at the moment, and the biggest reasons for that is the amount of pending sales is down 21% from a year ago, and the amount of solds is down 23% from 1 year ago. If you were to look back to August 2021, 279 homes sold that month versus just 219 of August of 2022. So that's 60 more homes that did not sell versus 1 year ago, thus causing more homes available for those buyers out there who are looking to purchase. So hence the reason, the good news for inventory levels. But I'm really curious to see what all this is going to do for pricing here, home prices here in Stockton. So let's look at home prices right now.
Okay, and in this chart we have the average sold price and the average for sale price. As you can see, the average sold price is starting to drop. That's, making the adjustments from what was going on and maybe being a little bit overpriced. What about the for sales, David?
The average list price in Stockton, it's holding pretty steady. We're at $524,000 versus 1 year ago was $500,000. So a little bit of increase from a year's time. But if you're a buyer and weren't able to purchase a house last year, the prices have flattened and even gone down a little bit, because get this. Last month, the average sold price was $454,000. 1 year ago, the average sold price, $457,000. So prices have definitely flattened out in a year's time here. They've gone up, they peaked, they've come back down. So as a buyer, you can get last year's prices.
And a little more to choose from too.
And more inventory, as we mentioned on the previous slide. So let's take a look now at how fast homes are selling for in Stockton. All right, before we get into the days on market, I do want to point out a key piece of data that's a trend that we need to pay attention to, and that's the top green line across the top, and that's the list to sales price ratio here on the chart. Last month it fell to 97%, which means not all the homes are no longer selling for full asking price. They're in fact on average or over, like we had seen for basically 2 years. For the first time in such a very long time, homes are actually starting to sell for under the asking price. That means sellers are having to be more realistic on their pricing, even accept lower offers. So more good news for home buyers out there. Richard, why don't you get into the days on market now?
Well, and I guess a little bit of good news for the sellers too is still that, we are up from 21 days, even 13 back in May, which was super low, but 23 days on the market is still selling pretty fast if you compare us to the rest of the nation. So buyers definitely having a better time, but sellers, you're still going to get good price for your house as long as you price it right.
Yeah, the days on market chart, our piece of data here, is going to be the one we need to follow here to kind of get an indication of where the market's going. Especially as we get into those winter months. The fall still could be good, but December is always an interesting month for that statistic.
Let's see what happens.
One more thing I want to talk about, whether this market is still favoring buyers or sellers, and that's the month of inventory. That always helps us decide who's favoring, so let's look at that next.
This chart here shows us the inventory. This is how many months of inventory you have if we got no more listings from day 1 to day 30. So it did go up for about 3 or 4 months pretty fast. Now it looked like it peaked and went back down a little bit to 2 months. So 2 months is still where, David, for an average of where we should be for whether it's buyers or sellers?
Yeah, 2 months technically, if you were to look at our market update, our handout still says it's a seller's market. I'm not sure I completely 100% agree with that given how the market feels. You know, it feels like a buyer's market to me.
Yeah.
So the data, while we say the data doesn't lie, numbers don't lie, the feeling we get is more of a buyer's market in my opinion. And I anticipate this to continually slowly climb if we continue to see the housing numbers and the data and the inventory that we're seeing currently. So if you're a buyer, things are going to continue to improve. You're going to have more homes to choose from. Getting the ideal rate could be a bit challenging in this market. Rates are fluctuating like crazy. But to get your ideal home, that's another story. You're going to have much more to choose from.
Yeah, I think the base here is buyers, it's getting a little better for you, even though the interest rate did bother you. Sellers, it's still pretty good. 2 months is not that high. We're just adjusting right now, so it looks like, oh, what a big change. But I think it's going to kind of start lining out a little bit for us and still have a good market. A good market would be good if it's for both the buyer and the seller.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you think as a seller, if somebody's thinking about selling the next between now and 12 months, what would your advice be for them?
I'd say based on the numbers, sell now because winter typically slows down.
Yeah.
The government's already said they're going to raise the interest rate some more. That might slow down buyers a little bit more. So if you're going to sell now and still try to get the peak of the market. But can I guarantee that? Don't know.
Yeah.
We'll have to keep watching.
It's nearly impossible to try to time a market perfectly. So you almost, you just need to do what's best for you, and hopefully it's timed ideally for that person in your moment in time. But that's it as far as the housing market update for the month of September here in Stockton, 2022. Like always, if you have any questions or if you need any help or advice, we're here to help you out and answer any questions for you. Again, my name is David. This is Richard. We're brokers here at Advance One McKeever Real Estate in Stockton. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on our next month's housing market update.